Hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe. Thanks for tuning in to Rosenfield 10, where I cover our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. If you are a Saints fan and part of the Who Dat Nation, well, hey, I'm your family member. I love the Saints as much as you do. Subscribe to my channel, and every time I talk about our boys, then you can comment down below and let me know what you think too. So the draft is over. I've been covering it for months, but we're not quite done just yet. The Saints have signed 13 rookie undrafted free agents, and I'm going to show you the list and tell you about the few that I like. So you can find the tracker online, and not sure if we're going to get this number up to 16 or not in total. We have lots of players that were on our practice squad before. They're counted as part of the roster right now, and they're going to be fighting to stay on the practice squad or, hopefully get to the bottom of the roster. And these guys are competing with that as well. So, not a lot of big time names. However, there were undrafted players I was excited about. And I'll tell you the first thing that jumps off this list for me is that we signed three wide receivers, and the biggest one, the tallest one, is 5'11". I'm starting to think that uh, Kellen Moore doesn't want big wide receivers on his team because this is kind of crazy. Now, we've signed a bunch of players who are capable of returning kicks and punts. So signing guys like this to compete for a return job or something like that, yeah, it makes sense if you get one or two guys in here, but all three of them. Anyway, the one I will talk about first is Moochie Dixon out of SMU, 5'11", which isn't horrible, 183 pounds. Wow, man, I've got 12 pounds on the guy, and I'm not fat at all. So Moochie Dixon, yeah, I think he had one touchdown this past year or none. Exciting player. Now, I didn't watch a lot of film on any of these guys. I just know the ones that were close to a draftable grade or perhaps with a draftable grade. And Moochie Dixon's the only one on this list at wide receiver that has a height I can tolerate. We need something else besides short, fast wide receivers. We have a bunch of them. Okay. Are we building a football team or are we building a 440 relay team? Because that's all I see here. The other wide receivers, Chris Tyree out of Virginia, 5'9", 192 pounds. But he's fast, sub 4'4", 40. And wide receiver Chris Carpenter out of Texas San Antonio, 5'9", 151 pounds. Jeez Louise. I got 40 pounds on this guy plus. Wow. It sounds like everybody else we've signed last year. Mason Tipton out of Yale. Same thing. He kind of hung around because he caught a few balls in training camp, and then he hung around even more because we were so decimated at wide receiver. So I guess a guy like Chris Carpenter is going to compete for Mason Tipton's role, which is hopefully on the practice squad. All right, let's start from the top and go through it. But that's what I wanted to point out first. Three wide receivers, none of them over 6 foot. I mean, where's Armstrong out of Arkansas? That guy's still available. Where's Brew McCoy out of Tennessee? That guy's running around out there. Other teams probably snatched him up by now. So let's start with first the punter, James Burnip out of Alabama. Can you believe it? Another Aussie. This will be the third year in a row we invite an Australian punter to training camp. Well, the Hayball made it last year, but he was horribly inconsistent. So now Burnip has a chance to make it. Yeah, both Aussies 2 years in a row have made it. The new guy came in and made the team. So let's see if Burnip can continue the Aussie tradition of kicking the other young guy off the team. Linebacker Tyreem Powell out of Rutgers, 6'4", 239 pounds. I don't know much about this guy. He's going to be competing with all of those other young guys at linebacker that we have. We have a bunch of them at the bottom of the roster, and some of them have shown some promise. And we're going to this new scheme now where we're going to need more linebackers than ever. So, welcome, Powell. Let's see how far you go. Defensive tackle Amari Thomas out of Tennessee, 6'4", 299 pounds. Tennessee's a big program, SEC, so this guy wasn't drafted, but he's probably seen a lot of good competition. He's probably starting off in a good spot. We'll see if we can whip him into something. Defensive back, Dailies, Beanham? I could be wrong, probably am. They listed him as a DB though, 6 foot, 195 pounds, out of South Dakota State. And yeah, well, I don't think he's gonna make a dent. I think I read that he's not expected to play the nickel, so he'd be an outside guy. Running back Marcus Yarns. I saw a couple of channels that highlighted this guy as a, third day surprise or sleeper. Yarns is out of Delaware, 5'11", 193 pounds, pretty productive. So, yeah, that's something. Safety Elliott Davison out of Texas, San Antonio, 5'11", 189 pounds. Get another body for the DB room. Interior offensive lineman Torricelli Simpkins III out of South Carolina. I believe he played right guard the whole time he was there. I think he was at another school before. 6'5", 312 pounds. He projects as, practice squad guy, basically. But yeah, we can get as many offensive linemen in here as possible. See if we can improve in any way because our starters are bad. Backups can't even start. Yeah, welcome, Simpkins. Edge rusher Josheen Davis out of Wake Forest. He's had a draftable grade for a couple of years now. 6'3", 270 pounds. So he's at that perfect tweener size that might get a lot of play in this new defense. I'm excited to see him come in. Easton Kilty, offensive lineman out of Notre Dame. No, North Dakota. That's not Notre Dame. That's North Dakota. 6'6", 307 pounds. Guilty projects to be a average backup or practice squad guy, but just like the other one, bring him in here. I was really hoping when I did this video that there was somebody there that I was really excited for. And I've seen some people talk about Moochie Dixon out of SMU, the wide receiver. And I had Yarns and Davis highlighted here as seventh round potentials, but the one I'm most excited about is actually quarterback Hunter Deckers, formerly of Iowa State, the gambler, who can now join the league if he'd like. 6'2", 212 pounds. I heard Deckers has a pretty good arm. I wasn't impressed with the stats while he was in college, but now he's eligible for the NFL, and our guys looked into him earlier this year. And I just think it's kind of weird. Moore as a quarterback, he finally drafts his own guy, and now I'm going to look at this guy in the same way. He grabs an undrafted guy, so this is technically his second choice, and we'll see what happens in camp. If the Saints sign anybody else, I'll probably do another shorter video talking about those guys. I guess there's 3 spots left, or 3 spots left that you can of players you can sign. I know they limit the amount of money you get to pay these undrafted guys, and the only one that I heard that got anything substantial at all was wide receiver Moochie Dixon, and it wasn't much. It was like $10,000 up front. They guaranteed him like 30,000 or something. So we've had guys every year where we give them 100,000 or $200,000. It's been a lot of that fund. And maybe Benson's tired of it because she keeps doing this and these guys keep leaving anyway. I mean, the last couple we've done it with aren't here. Kyle Hergel is an undrafted guy that we got last year that stayed on the team because of the offensive line injuries. And I really loved what I saw out of him in preseason. He had to play in spot duty in a couple of games too, I think. When we got hurt so much, no, there was nobody else to roll out there. But I mean, I like Hergel. I think Hergel's a guy that's going to stick on the team even after all these additions on the offensive line. So we'll see. Hergel's a good guy to have on the practice squad. I expect to see a lot of him in preseason again, and I expect him to impress. He's going to play guard and center, and he's going to look good. He did last year. He looked great last year. So hopefully somebody on this list will do the same. That's when you really get to see these guys preseason. Unless you go through the injuries the Saints went through last year and you get to see them in primetime games get stomped. All right, I'm Joe. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 and you'll get more videos about the Saints. And I like to keep positive about everything, especially in this time of dreams, April, May, June. I know that Mickey Loomis and Gail Benson have left a lot to be desired. They really aren't that good lately, and Jeff Ireland and all these bad mistakes with the cap and everything else and the drafts. I know there's not a lot to be excited about. I think a lot of Saints fans would be really happy if we just fired Mickey Loomis, or maybe Benson sold the team to somebody else who was going to keep it in Louisiana. Keep that in mind. And then some of the Who Dat Nation would finally be able to be happy because they feel like there is no hope. They're drowned, inundated by awful things that have happened the last couple of years, and Mickey Loomis still being here, and they see no hope for the future. Well, I try to be hopeful. I'll call it like it is when I know for sure what it is. But as far as like, let's say the draft class this year, nobody's really going to know, including me, including the coaches, including everybody in the league participating in it or watching it. Everybody. We're not going to know until about 4 years from now when these guys are earning another contract, earning a way to stay on the team, or busting and they're all gone. That's when we're finally going to know about this draft class. So those of you out there who hate this draft class, I felt the same way about certain draft classes that ended up good for the Saints. I thought 2023 was going to be good. I liked that draft class, and here it is 2 years later. Oh, not much coming out of that one. So, yeah, yeah, it can be negative from time to time. If there's something to complain about, I will. But in a time of dreams like right now, I just want to try to be positive about it. I have my opinions. I'm not going to diss you for yours. Certainly not going to tell you to shut up. I'll let you speak your piece, and if I don't agree with you, then at least we had a conversation. I hope a pleasant one. Let me know in the comments what you think. Try not to be rude, and I'll try not to be rude too. Otherwise, YouTube will take my channel down. But yeah, I'm upset about a bunch of the junk that we've done. And I know this draft wasn't perfect. If I had to give it a preliminary grade, I would give it a C because there are certain players we took at the area I thought we should take them. There were some players we took where I felt like it was a big reach. And yeah, overall, we couldn't address everything. It's going to be a 2-year project at least, and that's if we hit on the draft picks. So here's hoping. Here's faith, hope, and subscribe and talk to me about it. Let me know how you feel. And until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?